Hello folks, it's Mad Dog Merv. Today, well, I'm on my way over to Mark's. We're just gonna hang out. And we're gonna talk a little bit about a new train layout that he wants to put up in his trailer. It's the ski train from, they run it over in Colorado. Denver and Rio Grande used to run it, now Amtrak does. He wants to do the Denver and Rio Grande version of it, which is really pretty cool. Anyway, I've taken down my Christmas tree and I have taken down the train board. And what I want to do is I want to make some changes to this train board. I want to have something that the grandkids can come over and see different seasons on the train. The train board, I want to be able to run different engines depending on the season. Maybe I'll put together, I know what I'll do. I've got this red, white, and blue one that is for the 1976, bicentennial, and I'm going to run that over the 4th of July holiday. That'll be neat. Probably put together an Easter train. Just have some really fun things that the grandkids can come over and have and see a themed train board. So, since it's the dead of winter here in Utah and there's like nothing to do, I can't be out in my doghouse because it's just too flippin' cold in the doghouse. It's supposed to be 5 degrees tonight, so what I am going to do is I'm going to start building some of the different components now that I can do in the house and at my little bench in the house. First place I'm going to start, I want to do an amusement park train. Every amusement park, every zoo, well, not every zoo, but so many places you go have these little amusement park rides. Usually they're a half-scale train or something to that effect. The engineer sits on the tender and toots the horn, all that kind of cool stuff. And I've been around these since I was a kid. We've had several here in Salt Lake, in the Salt Lake area. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. And I think I've got the cars already acquired. I'm going to use some N-scale rolling stock. I'm going to have to come up with some scale kids, which is interesting. Most of your figures in HO scale are not children, they're adults. So I've got to figure that one out. And the engine, well, you know how much they want for an N-scale locomotive nowadays, especially a steam locomotive? Holy cow. And I just want this to be a static display. So I think I'm going to scratch build it. Stick with me and, let's go step by step and build us a steam engine.
Well, here's what we're going to start out with, just a pile of styrene, a couple of different diameters, there's like 3 different diameters of tube styrene. There is some sheet styrene. I have some V-groove as well to simulate like wooden planking. And this is what we're going to build it out of. I'm going to use some aught 15, some aught 20, and some aught 25 brass wire as well. So to make the boiler on this, I just took 3 different sizes of the tube styrene and, well, made a boiler. I took some of the just straight styrene strip that I have to put it along the side for the running boards, and then I made a frame from that same strip styrene to make the frame underneath. The cab, of course, well, it's a box, so that was pretty easy. You can see here I've actually cut the wheels out of some tube styrene, and here I've added a backing to them for the flange and the centers and some of the spokes. I think I just used some aught 20 square styrene for the spokes, and I didn't put all of the spokes in. I purposely only did the 8 spokes on here. You've also see that on the boiler I've used some strip styrene to make the bands around the boiler. So here are the wheels, nice and painted up. I've got the flanges painted silver. Down inside is all black, and then the top of the rim, or the front of the wheels, is painted red. I'm trying to model this loosely after the Jupiter in HO scale, although there will be some changes. This is definitely going to be a coal burner, not a wood burner. So here's my first attempt at trying to do Russia iron. This is a Chrysler B5 or B7 blue, I think is what it is, that I've painted over the black, and it's okay, but it's not really what I want. Just trying out some colors here to see if I really like this. I did want to have a wooden looking cab, so I used some rail brown and painted the cab in a rail brown. The interior is black, and I've got a little decal. You can't see it here, but I've got a little decal that's got some gauges on it from an airplane kit that I put on the boiler. And in this view, you can see my cab. It's not quite perfectly straight. It has kind of a little bit of a cartoonish look, and I'm okay with that. I do like the way this one turned out. You can see the frame underneath is black as well. So now that I've got all of that finished, I'm going to put the sand tower on and the steam, for the steam whistle there also. I don't like the light that I've put up front, so I'll wind up changing that. But I'm going to start working on the cow catcher. And so what I've done is I've cut a piece of styrene, put it underneath in the front, and I'm going to start laying out the frame using 0.20 by 0.20 styrene for my cattle catcher. And I'm just going to put something together that's kind of long and sticks out a ways. And hey, I like the way that turned out. Use a little bit of brass there as the guide wires for it. So not too bad. I still need to work a little bit on my sanding dome and my my little tower back there that I'm going to put my steam whistle on. But so far, here it's coming together. Doesn't look too bad. I still have to make the front pilot wheels. And so what I did there is I took some smaller diameter styrene, and just like what I did with the back wheels, with the main drivers, is I went ahead and cut these, put a backing on them, waited for that to dry, put a center in it, shaped the flanges to kind of a round shape, as close as I could get, and put it on there. So now I'm going to work on the tender. For the tender, pretty straightforward. It's going to be a little bit different than the actual Jupiter, but here's what I've done so far. And you can see in the front I've built a seat because, well, I didn't like the way that the conductor sat on the wood pile there at the train shop. So I've made a seat specifically for the conductor so he can sit back there. Underneath, I went ahead and made a frame. Took some N-scale trucks that I had from one of the other projects that I have laying around, and they fit in there very nicely. So once that was done, I took it out, primed the whole upper side, and you can see here it is all ready to go. I went ahead and painted it first. After I primed it, I painted it with a CP red, waited for that to dry, masked off those areas, and then painted my cobalt blue. And put a little bit of gold trim around it, and I really like the results, the way that it turned out. So here it is, complete with the coal load and the conductor in it, and the whole entire engine and tender is now done, except for I still need to name the tender, which we'll get to it. But on the engine, you can see where I mixed up that kind of a Ford Grabber green and that B7 Chrysler blue together to use it as the Russia iron, and I actually really like the way this turned out. The cobalt blue on the engine, and the CP red on the engine as well. And well, this is how it turned out. I made a little light for the front of it. Now I'm going to have a little train depot, so that the kids can, hop on the train and ride. Why not? So here's the engine on the track out in front of the depot, and now I'm going to start working on constructing a proper platform and whatnot, and of course the rest of the train. Here's a good close-up. You can see the bell that I bought aftermarket, the whistle that I made for it, and the brass that I used, the brass rod that I used on different places, the pilot and the grab handles and whatnot, and the light that I put on it. So anyway, we're going to move on to the first car, is this piece of rolling stock that I've put some seats in, and this one that I've put some seats in as well. So those were pretty straightforward and easy, a little bit of weathering. And I took this Southern Pacific caboose and I've painted it up. And here's my first test fit of the platform. So we're going to go ahead and skip to the end here of this and kind of go over it with you. I've taken some foam core board. I measured out on my layout exactly the shape that I needed for this area to fit into. So I went ahead and I put the ground cover on, I put the depot on, I put the platform on, went ahead and laid the track down, glued everything down. And then I went ahead and put the ballast in the track. You can see that here in this kind of a front angle. I've put a couple of figures on, but I do need to put some more in. On the amusement car rides, I've gone ahead and put some grab handles on the side. Again, some few figures I need to get some kids and put in there. But the grab handles that you'd probably expect on there. And on the caboose, I went ahead and put some bars on the very front and back so the kids could climb in and out of the caboose safely. Here's a divider bush that I used here in the back, and we'll go over on another video on how to make bushes. And a bush that I added to the front of the depot here, which I thought was very appropriate. That way I didn't have to put up railing here in the front. You can see my use of railing along the stairs and along the boarding platform. You can also see I put a dog on here taking a leak on the one of the pilings. And here's kind of a view of the front with the little sign that shows where the locomotive needs to stop, and kind of an overall view of the back here. So thanks for joining us.
Well, what do you think? Kind of a fun little project. Looking at that one that they have there at the train shop really did help to inspire me to come up with this one, and I like the way it turned out. I think it'll be fun. Have that on the board. We're going to be doing a bunch of other things, like I said before, for every season, or well, maybe not every season, and maybe not every month, but we're going to be making changes on the board. I'll have different trains up, and I'll have some different decorations and whatnot. I think it'll be kind of a fun thing to do, and stick with us, watch and see what crazy new thing we put on this board. But hopefully you got something out of this, and just know that if I can do this, you can do this. It really wasn't that difficult. I think I'm in that build a total of 15 to 20 hours, maybe, if that. It really did not take that long, and I didn't have any specialized tools. I started with the razor saw, but I wound up not using it because the X-Acto worked just fine. So anyway, hopefully you like this. Hopefully you got something out of it, and we'll see you again soon with some more building on this train board. Bye bye.